Well, hello everybody. Here we are on Chat for Coffee, the fourth show of 2026 here. And yes, we just have three people on the show this morning. And a couple of people that we invited had problems that prevented them from joining the show today. So, yeah, let's see here. We have myself, of course, I'm always here. And we have a student of mine, Carlo Caffarella. Would you like to introduce yourself, Carlo? This is your first time on the show.
Yes, that's my first time, and
Mm-hmm.
I am Carlos Cafarella. I am living in Costa Rica,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm from Colombia, but I lived here for 24 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. I am Costa Rican too,
Mm-hmm.
and um, thank you for your invite me to this talk show.
Sure. Yeah. And why don't you tell us what you do?
Okay. I am a manager of the retail stores, gourmet
Mm-hmm.
retail stores, and
Mm-hmm.
we have so many products to like uh, like meat, chicken, pork, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the gourmet food
Gourmet. Yep.
and gourmet food, beverage, wines, liquors,
Mm-hmm.
and we are we are a small stores, but
Mm-hmm.
more than gourmet. We have seven, eight stores in this moment, and
Okay. Mhm.
we increase the number in a few
Okay.
years.
Uh-huh. Okay, great. Yep. Okay. And let's see. And our guest today is Nanda Warren. Okay. Coming to us from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And let's see, Nanda, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, yeah. So my name is Nanda, and like John said, I live in Vancouver right now in Canada. I just moved here like 6 months ago. Before that, I was living in California.
Hmm.
I'm from the U.S. I'm originally from California, but I've
Hmm.
lived lots of different places. We can talk about that later if you like.
Yep. Hmm.
But I'm currently in Vancouver because I'm a doctoral student at the University of British Columbia. I decided
Okay.
to go back to school to study for my PhD, so that's what I'm doing right now.
Hmm. Okay. University of British Columbia. That's the big one there
It's a
in
big one, yeah.
Vancouver. Yeah, there's a couple of other universities there, but the UBC is one the really big ones there. Yep. Okay. How are you liking it there so far?
Oh, I love it. I'm really having a great time. And
Uh-huh.
I love my classmates, my professors. The campus is beautiful, and it's a very
Mhm.
rich intellectual environment. So I'm enjoying it
Oh,
very much.
oh, that's good. Okay, and this is not your first time living in Vancouver.
No, it's not. I lived here quite a few years ago now. It was about a dozen years ago, about 12 years ago, I
Uh-huh.
would say. Because it's a little complicated, but my husband is Canadian, a naturalized Canadian citizen.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
And so when we were first married, we lived here with our two children. And
I see.
yeah, and so I lived here about 4 years, and I taught English here for a while, and it's really a beautiful
Okay.
city. I like it very much. It's a little dark and rainy in the winter. Like right
Mm-hmm.
now, it's like I'm looking out the window and it's like still dark, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right, right. Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
there's like some downsides too, but
If it makes you happy, it's actually a little dark and it's been raining in Costa Rica. That's very
it's the
unusual for
dry
February.
season. It's the
Yeah,
dry
we're in the
season
dry
now, right?
season. Right, but
The prices.
all this cold weather has extended all the way down to Costa Rica. Last month, the temperatures were far below normal here.
I feel like in Canada.
Ah,
Well, that
well,
might be an exaggeration.
yeah. The thing about Vancouver, what I know about Vancouver is that it usually snows once a year there. Is that
Yeah,
about right?
Yeah, that is about right. And I think we passed the window when that was really likely. Although, actually, next week I saw on my weather app some little
Uh,
snowflake symbols. So we might get
oh,
some.
okay. But you don't, when it snows there, it doesn't really stay on the
No,
ground.
like a
Right.
minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a minute. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Vancouver is one of the warmest parts of Canada, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. But the winter is kind of wet and cold and
Very
gray.
dark.
Yeah.
Very dark.
So,
That's the main thing.
yeah. But that's how Costa Rica has been in the last month, actually, with the way that we've had the weather here.
So
Yeah.
you got a lot of rain.
Yeah, but right now, we're not getting hard rain. We're just getting we're just getting a very light rain sometimes, and it's kind of misty in the air. There's no hard rain anymore.
Mhm.
That's gone. But yeah, it's very unusual. Just something I was shocked to learn yesterday. Cuba had just I think yesterday recorded a temperature of 0 degrees.
Mhm.
Wow.
They reached the freezing point in Cuba, and if that is not a record, then it's really close to it for
Just,
Cuba.
it's interesting. I read something this morning, no,
Hmm.
last night, in the west of the United States, or in the west of North America.
Hmm.
In the west is very cold. It's
Hmm.
very, but in the and no in the east is very cold, and
Mhm.
in the
Right,
west is very hot.
Mhm.
It's very hot.
like
It's
California.
the California, and no, the old Montana, and every these places
Mm.
are the best, the most hot temperature in this February, in
Oh,
February and
really?
January.
Mhm.
Yes, really,
Oh, okay.
it's very confused
Hmm.
because something is happening in the Arctic with the winds. The
The
winds is
in the Arctic,
an article.
Mhm.
Arctic, yeah, the
No,
Arctic,
no,
yes,
yes,
yeah.
because it happened something very very strange and very difficult to do it. The
Mhm.
winds um, cross the barrier or something like that,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
um, send the down temperatures,
Mhm.
The
to
cold temperatures.
the cold temperatures to all the North America in a
Yeah,
next
yeah,
day,
yeah.
in a next days.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
tell people in very simple terms what's happening is that this is Arctic air. It's been pushed out
Mhm.
of the Arctic and it's going down North America, and yeah, that's what's happening, and this has never happened before like this.
Mhm.
Not on this scale,
It's
you
not
know.
common. It's not
No,
common.
Mhm.
no, it isn't. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here is give the answer for the poll that I gave my students. And this has to do with the idiomatic expression to be out of the question. And so let me go ahead and read this for you. This was the poll as I wrote it. You are trying to schedule a meeting with some team members. You ask, "Can we have the meeting at 6:30 p.m. on Monday?" Another team member replies, "That is out of the question." What does that other team member mean? And there were 4 answers to choose from. The first one, "It is not fair to request that." The second one, "I don't understand why you are asking that." Third one, "I'd like to change the topic." And the fourth one, "That is impossible." And now, Carlo, I know you voted in this, but I don't remember which one you voted for.
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay, actually, I can.
No.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to find out here. Well, actually, I can tell you the first and third answers. Nobody voted for those. It was all between I don't understand why you are asking that. That is actually, that got 5 votes. And the other one, that is impossible, also got 5 votes. And now I have to reveal what the answer is. When somebody says that is out of the question, it means that that is not possible.
That is not possible.
That is not possible. Okay. Yeah, that's what it means. Okay. I'm sure you've heard that expression before, Nanda, right?
Yes, I've probably used it myself.
You've probably used it yourself. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite common. And but if you're a foreigner learning English, you hear that and you say, "What? It's out of the question?"
It doesn't really make sense if you think about the words.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. But what it means is that's impossible. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Good. We took care of that. So now we can get into the interview part of the show. Oh, and let me say to anybody who may be watching the show today, we have a chat, an interactive chat. So if you're watching right now and you want to ask a question to Nanda or to anyone else on the show, please go ahead and type your question in the chat. And when I see it here, I'll pass it on to Nanda or Carlo or whoever the question is for. So that's how you can participate in the show. Go ahead and type a question in there, and I'll pass it on to the others. Okay, good. So let's see. Let's get to the interview portion of the show now. Let me see. Well, I guess the thing we can start with is you mentioned that you lived in many different places, Nanda.
Mm-hmm.
What are all of those places? Tell us the story of your life.
Well, I'll tell you.
Only in 2 minutes, okay?
Yeah, 2 minutes. Okay, I'll tell
No.
you just some of the places that I've lived. Starting with the U.S. I'm from California originally,
Okay.
but it's kind of funny. Sometimes when I teach, sometimes I show my students a map of the U.S. with dots and all the places because I've gone from the West Coast to the middle to the north to the East Coast to the.
Yes, that's right. I know that. Yeah.
So I've lived in Colorado I went to high school there, so I know the mountains.
Okay.
I lived in Minnesota, which is up in the north, very cold and snowy, next to Canada. I went to college there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I lived in New York City for a number of years.
That.
Yeah, because I went to graduate school there. That's where I got my master's degree. And then I lived in Texas very briefly, just like 2 years. I didn't like it there very much. It was too hot, like really too hot.
Okay.
The culture just didn't feel right to me. But
okay.
I lived there for a little bit, and then of course I lived in Vancouver for a while around the time I got married, and.
Well, yeah, but don't forget Costa Rica.
Oh, Costa Rica. I missed Costa Rica. So I met John when I was living in Costa Rica. I lived in Costa Rica less than a year, but it was a very...
Was it less than a year?
It was less than a year. But it was memorable. It was a big part of my life, really. It was when I first starting to teach and, living outside the U.S., my first time living outside the U.S. and I really enjoyed it. I met a lot of really, really wonderful people who I still remember fondly. I remember my students from those years very, very well. So it's very nice to meet you, Carlo, because it makes me think about the students I had. I had a lot of students who had, who were managers or business owners, and it's really a beautiful country with with beautiful people, like just very nice place. So so I lived in Costa Rica. That's where I met John, and Yeah, that was a great part of my life. But
Mhm.
from there, I did move back to the US, and that's when I decided to go back and get my master's degree because I did like teaching and I wanted to keep teaching. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, after Vancouver the first time, I actually, my family and I moved to Spain for 2 years because my
Oh,
husband was working on his master's degree. And so we moved
okay.
to a town called Soria, which is in the north. It's like north of Madrid. And
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
it's that was wonderful. That was also a wonderful experience. I loved living in Spain. I really, really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah, really wonderful
Okay.
culture. Um,
Okay.
and our children went to school there for a little while, and I taught English a little bit, just private classes.
Oh, I see.
Um,
I see. Okay.
yeah, but then
Mhm.
we came back to Canada, and then eventually moved to California and stayed there a few years, and now I'm back in Canada.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah, just never too long in one place. I guess that's the story of my life.
Well, yeah. Okay. Uh-huh.
Why your name is Nanda?
Oh, that's a good question. So my name is Indian. Actually, it's a Sanskrit meaning. So it's a very, very
Oh.
ancient language of India. But I'm not Indian.
Okay.
Just my parents were what was known as hippies. Um,
Mhm.
so they were very a part of the counterculture movement of the 70s, 1970s. And they were
Mhm.
very into Eastern religions, and they read very widely. And they just liked that name. They thought it was nice, and it had a
Mhm.
nice meaning.
Mhm.
It means like bliss, like happiness. And so they
Oh.
named me Nanda. And it's always been
Oh,
a
okay.
little confusing to people because they're like, "Are you Indian?" Even right now, my one of my thesis advisors is from Bangladesh, and I think he was a little disappointed when he met me because he thought that
Ah.
maybe I was Indian or South Asian or
Oh,
something. And
okay.
when he met
Yeah.
me, he was like, "Tell me about your name." And I told him,
Right,
and he was
right.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh." So
Yeah.
I fooled them.
Right, right. Uh-huh. Well, but there's another thing I'd like to point out, and that is now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your mother is Mexican, right?
Yeah, Mexican American. My
Mexican
family on
American.
my
Okay.
mother's side is Mexican American, but like many generations in California. So we're really Californian.
Oh, I see. I see. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's very common in California, and I think I noticed it
Right.
when I moved back. Like, I just kind of blend in because like everybody's Latino there, basically,
Right. Right. Yeah.
of some generation.
Right. Well, now I don't know if anybody's ever mentioned this to you, but I just found out recently that Nanda in Spanish is a short version of the name Fernanda.
Oh yeah, I've always known that. And so sometimes people,
Uh,
especially in Costa Rica, people would ask me like, "Oh, is that short for
yeah.
Fernanda?" And I was like, "Oh no, actually no."
No. Oh, okay. Well, maybe your mother had that in the back of her mind
I
when she
don't think
chose
so.
Fernanda. You don't think so?
I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think so. But you know
Okay.
what I like about my first name, and I usually use my first name, and I don't have students call me by my last name, even when I'm teaching in
Right.
college.
Right. Mhm.
My first name I find is very easy to pronounce for most
Mhm.
people around the world, except
Yes.
for English speakers. Because
Really?
yeah, many English speakers think it's pronounced Nanda or something weird, like that kind of vowel sound.
Nanda.
Yeah, I
And
get that a lot from
Oh,
like
Nanda.
Americans
Okay.
or British people, but for the rest of the world, it makes
Mm.
perfect sense. It's Nanda,
Nanda.
okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Americans sometimes do the Nanda.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
very strange. They do like a
Nah.
weird thing with the
It comes
vowel,
through
and I'm
the
like, nah.
it comes through the nose. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Good. That's okay. Now we know the origin of your name. Okay. Let me see. Okay. And so let's see. So yeah, a lot of different cultures you've been exposed to in your life. And let's see. Well, maybe we can talk a little bit right now about your teaching experience. I think you said that Costa Rica was the first time that you did teaching. Is that right?
Almost. I mean, I took a course, a certificate course in Minnesota on teaching English.
Okay. Okay.
And that was about a 6-month course, and I had a practicum. And so I had some practical
Uh-huh.
experience. I also had worked in a middle school for a year teaching
Hmm.
young people,
Okay.
but as more as a teaching assistant. And
Okay.
so I had that experience, and then I moved to Costa Rica and worked mostly one-on-one. As you know, that's kind of how our jobs were at that
Yes.
time.
Uh-huh.
I had a couple of groups, small group classes in different
Yeah.
companies, where I would go and
Hmm.
teach a small group at the company, and I
Hmm.
really enjoyed that. But
Hmm.
yeah, I really did enjoy teaching quite a lot. And so when
Hmm.
I came back from Costa Rica, I thought, maybe I would like to continue teaching. And
Okay.
that's why I
Hmm.
decided to continue my education, because to teach in the US, you need an advanced degree.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah. Uh-huh. I see. And so then you started. You were at a university and you were teaching writing composition. Was it reading and writing composition?
So that was much later. That was much later,
Oh.
really. To go in order, I guess, when I moved to New York City, I started my
Hmm.
master's program. And at the same time that I was studying for my master's, I taught in the mornings at a private language school that was on
Okay,
the
but
Upper West.
that master's program was in what area?
So it wasn't actually in teaching English. I at that time I thought I wanted to do more work internationally. So my master's
Okay.
degree is in international education development, but
Oh.
with a focus on language and literacy. So that's kind of where I really got interested in
Oh.
literacy.
Okay. Okay.
But while I was studying for my master's degree, I was teaching at this private language school on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and it was really an interesting school because they enrolled some international students and also immigrants who were living in
Hmm.
New York. It was like a low
Hmm.
cost English school. Like they would advertise
Hmm.
on the subway, learn English, and
Okay.
it was really an interesting mix of students from all over.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I enjoyed that a lot. I really, really liked teaching those classes. They were big classes, you know,
Hmm.
all different levels. And so I got a lot of practice, I guess. And so by the
Hmm.
time I finished my master's degree, I decided, like, you know what? I don't know that I want to teach internationally. I think I just want to teach in the US immigrants. And so
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
pretty much what I started doing. So I worked in several programs where I was teaching immigrants
Hmm.
English. Um,
Hmm.
and so I did that for quite a while. And
Well, yeah.
then much later, I started teaching other things.
Yeah, actually, my first teaching experience, well, I was a teaching assistant in university first, but my first, after I got my qualification for teaching English as a foreign language, the first thing I did, and this was in Canada, the first thing I did was to volunteer
Hmm.
and teach immigrants, refugees, and travelers
Yeah.
to Canada, and I actually did that for a year,
Hmm.
and it was like full time,
Yeah.
so that's a similar experience, I think, to what you're talking about, because
Yeah.
yeah, like those people were from all over the world,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah. I did that, and then I went off to Japan and became an English teacher there for about 3.5 years. But yeah, uh, Carlo, if at any point you have a question, just feel free to go ahead and ask.
Okay, what is the best recommendation for you to learn um, English? Uh, what what is your well? I am a student, English
Hmm.
student, but what is your best things to do to to learn more easy the English
Mhm.
to, for example, for Spanish language, or and the other question is the people from you have a student from all people around the world, I think,
Yeah.
and is more easy to learn English from the Spanish people or India people, Chinese, or something like that, or is not important. It's not.
Yeah, I'll take
It's
that
always
second
the same.
question. I'll take the second question first because that's an interesting one. And I don't know what John thinks about this too,
Mhm.
but I don't think it makes that much difference really what your first language is, especially in terms of learning
Mhm.
conversation. It's going to be an adjustment for everyone, you know, to
Mhm.
learn to converse in a different language. When it comes to the writing, you have an advantage when your first language is, you know, uses the same script because, you know, if you
Mhm.
are a
Uh-huh.
Chinese speaker, it's like or
Mm.
Arabic, it's a totally different writing system. So it takes them
Yeah.
longer
Mhm.
to learn how to write. But I think it's challenging for everyone to learn to hold a
Mhm.
conversation in another language. I will say
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
Spanish, we have an advantage between our two languages because there are so many cognates, so many words that are similar,
Mhm.
that sound
Mhm.
similar, that sometimes you don't know the word, but you can kind of guess what it might be.
Right. Yeah.
So we have that advantage. But I think that advantage mainly is in the reading. Like it's easier for me to read in Spanish, for example, or for you to read in English when you kind of recognize a lot of words. But
Mhm.
to hold a conversation, it's always going to be challenging at the beginning.
Mhm.
So then that
Yeah.
kind of takes me to your first question, and that's, you know, I think what anyone would tell you is it just to practice, like to put yourself in situations like we are today, you know, where you have to
Yeah.
hold a conversation.
Mhm.
There's no substitute really for practicing. I know people are really into like Duolingo these days, and they'll go like up and
Right.
up and
Right.
up the levels, and then someone will
Right.
ask them a question, and you're like, you know.
Right. Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I think,
That's not to say, you know, there's benefits to learning with Duolingo, but the thing is you're not talking to a real person
yeah,
unless you actually have an arrangement with a real teacher. But
yeah,
you can get both, I guess, from Duolingo. I mean, I don't obviously use Duolingo, but I think you can get both live teachers and then you can get the applications and the automatic stuff, right?
yeah,
But well, okay, if you get the live teachers, okay, that is pretty close to the real thing. Um, and but if you're just doing a lot of exercises that are even listening comprehension exercises,
yeah.
it's no substitute for actually, you know, speaking in reality. And even here, like, okay, we're all on we're not actually face to face, we're not
Mhm,
meeting in
Mm-hmm.
person.
mhm.
Okay, but this is the closest thing that you can get to this. You know,
Yeah.
if I had a lot of money, Nanda, I would pay for your flight down
Fly
here to
me down there
Costa.
anytime.
Yeah,
I would be there in a heartbeat, John.
you would. Okay, yeah. Uh-huh. Well, when this show starts making a lot of money, we'll be able to do that.
I would
For
love
now,
to
we
come
have to
back
do
to
it this way.
Costa Rica. That would be great.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's really that well in my field of study, you know, the way
Mhm.
we talk about it is it's like situated practice, like being in the situation where you are using the
Mhm.
language, that's really the place you need to practice it. So like if your situation where you're going to have to use the
Mhm.
language is on the phone a lot, well then you're going to need to practice like answering the phone and like, you know,
Mhm.
thinking fast enough to, you know, have the conversation. If it's going to be over the
Mhm.
counter, you know, with a customer, then you need to kind of try to simulate that.
Mhm.
You have to kind of be in, you know, try to put yourself in the situation where you need to respond. And then it's not just your
Mhm.
head, it's like your whole body sort of like knows what to do.
Mhm.
And so I think it's hard to do that if you're taking more of a passive approach to language learning.
Right.
But that
Right.
said, I will say, like, a lot of students over the years have told me, and not just my students, but just people I've known who speak many languages, have learned a lot through like watching movies and TV and listening to music, those receptive skills. So I do think there's a place for that, especially like just getting used to the rhythm of the language and the idioms and you know, everything. So people have said, so many people say, oh yeah, I learned this language through watching TV with the subtitles.
Yes. Yes.
Really? But yeah, many people have told me that.
Yeah, this was quite the surprise, but okay, right now on this show, we've done about 20 shows so far. And so a lot of the people that we've had as guests on the shows have been Costa Ricans who learned English at a very, very high level. And a number of them, well, some of them are actually still here in Costa Rica, but they're using English every day on the job. And there are others who have actually moved to other countries, and they were able to do it because they were working for an international company that transferred them.
Sure.
One of them was in Minnesota. Another one just recently was in London, England. We had one in San Diego, and also one in Colorado.
Wow.
That's where they did the show from, because that's where they're living.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And but what I was really surprised about with a lot of these people who now have a very high level of English is that a lot of them told me that they didn't learn through classes, that they actually learned on their own.
Yeah.
And we had this funny thing going, because one guy came out and said that the thing that caused him to learn English was Linkin Park, the rock band.
Wow.
Which is a rock band popular in the 2000s, right? He got into English because he wanted to learn the lyrics to the songs by Linkin Park. And then another guy came on later and he said something similar, but for him, it was a different band. It was Limp Bizkit. Which is like it's another one of those post-grunge bands, actually, and yeah, he said, like, I was learning the lyrics. I wanted to be able to understand what they were saying. I wanted to be able to sing it for myself, and understand what the singer, what the feelings were behind the words. And then a third guy came on, and for him, he didn't actually mention a specific band, but he said that he learned a lot from finding the lyrics for songs and learning the lyrics of the songs that he really liked. So I was just surprised at how at the time that they were doing this, they weren't actually taking classes. Now, in some cases, they had taken some classes before they started learning through lyrics, or in some cases they took classes afterwards. But most of them said that the classes didn't do as much for them as actually learning the lyrics of their favorite bands. And that really blew my mind, because we teachers like to think that we are the key for the students to learn a language. They must pay us to become proficient in language, and these people showed that that's not necessarily true. So
well, I have a story about that, John. It's when I was teaching in Spain, I was teaching individual classes, just whoever wanted to learn English. And I had a couple of students who were high school students, because in Spain they require them to take English classes. And one mom hired me for her daughter, because her daughter wasn't doing very well in English and she needed a private tutor. And so I met with the daughter, and the daughter obviously was not interested in learning English at all, like had no interest. It was so
No
boring, so much
motivation.
grammar
Right.
and everything. And I said, well, what kind of music do you like? Do you like any songs? And so we found some of her favorite songs in English, and I had her, do some
Yeah.
exercises with the lyrics and, translate the lyrics. And I thought, oh, okay, I found a way. Oh, her mom didn't like that at all. So I got
really?
fired.
You got fired.
I got fired from that particular student. The mom didn't ask me back, and I thought, okay, but your daughter's not going to like learning English that way.
But you know what? You got fired, but maybe that girl started taking an interest in English.
Well, she could do it on her own. It was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't mind. I had plenty of other students, but I think there is like a kind of a misunderstanding sometimes about how to learn a language, that it has to be like all serious all the time. But I think a combination of the two is really, something that keeps you motivated and that feels fun. Just like exercise, right? It's like you have to enjoy it, or you're not going to want to do it.
Right. Yeah. So, for example, Carlo. Now
you know, I have a problem. I like to the electronic music. It doesn't have lyrics.
No lyrics.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what? So like house music?
I have to change.
Well, so like dance music or house music or that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Well,
right.
sometimes in that music, like, okay, I'm thinking like this is from a long, long time ago, but a lot of house music, like 20 years ago, they would sometimes have words that you'd hear in the middle of the song. Like one of them that was really, really common was the word respect, right? You'd be listening to this dance music and then it would just say respect.
Right. No more.
Right. Okay. But you're learning the word. If you look it up, okay, it's just one word, but okay, it's better than nothing.
Or the name of the song. No more.
Or what was the other one? Long time ago. Bombastic.
Bombastic.
Oh, that's a good
bombastic.
word.
There was a song. It was like house music or hip hop or something like that. I don't know what it was, but this word would just suddenly blast out, bombastic, and it's really surprising because even today, sometimes I teach that word, and the students go, "I remember that word. It's from that song."
That's really funny.
And what's really fun, and what's even funnier is that they'd heard the word before many times, but they finally found out what it means from me. Before they didn't know what it meant. Okay. And bombastic. Actually, what is it in Spanish?
Like amazing. Like amazing, like
no,
wonderful.
Is there a translation?
Yeah, I got a translator here. Just a second.
I feel like it's bombastico. That's not a word?
No, I don't think so.
That's what I mean like with the coffee. Sometimes you just guess. You're like, well, maybe.
Okay, yeah. My translator is giving me grandiloquente.
Oh.
Grandiloquente. Not a really common word. I've never heard that before. But but bombastic, that's the best translation of it. So there's interesting things like that. And
well, I have two, if you like, I have two more stories about interesting ways to learn
language. We love stories here.
One is actually one of my current classmates who's also doing a Ph.D. in language and literacy like me. And he's from Japan, and his English is really, really wonderful English, and not just like fluent, but very idiomatic, like very just, he knows, he just like knows a lot of expressions and really great English. And one of our classmates asked him like, oh, how long did you study abroad? Or he says, oh, I didn't study abroad. And they're like, what? You learned that kind of language in Japan? How? And he told us through playing video games, through online gaming. Because there's a lot of games where you interact with other people, right? Like multiplayer.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yes,
You can
yes,
talk. You can talk with the other player. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, of course. I remember my son. My
Wow.
son did it, and he had a lot of friends from other
Yeah.
places around the world, and
Right. Mhm.
everything, everybody speaking English.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
definitely a growing opportunity right now that young people have. I think it's a really great
Right. Right.
opportunity, and not just young people. I mean, anyone can play games, but like people who are
Yeah,
into
yeah,
that.
Right.
yeah.
You have to have
Yeah.
a certain amount of
Uh-huh.
time, though. He learned over COVID because over COVID, there wasn't a lot to
Yes.
do, so he'd spent a lot
Okay.
of time playing games.
But we could be online, and yeah, if you're a gamer and you're playing with people who are speaking English, yeah, you pick up things from them. I would imagine that you pick up a lot of really vulgar expressions.
Yeah, he doesn't use those so much in our classes, but I bet he
Okay,
knows.
he knows the difference. He knows the difference. That's very, very important because a lot of people don't realize, like the F word and things like that. They don't realize actually how bad they are in English, and that.
Yes, that happened to me one time when I was teaching
Right.
college composition, and it was a class of mostly American students, but I had one Japanese
Mhm.
student who was in the class, and he was
Mhm.
dropping those F-bombs everywhere, and I was like,
Oh.
I don't know if you realize that's not quite so appropriate for this setting.
Uh,
Like outside
yeah.
of the classroom, great. Maybe not so much in the classroom.
Yeah. Carlo, do you know what the F bomb is?
F-bomb? No,
F bomb.
no,
Bomba,
no, I don't know.
right?
Bomba, yes.
F bomb is a way to refer to the four-letter word that starts with F. The really bad word in English, right? The one that I'm
Okay,
not going to say here because I think we'll have problems with YouTube if I say it, right?
okay.
Exactly.
So it's sometimes referred to as an F bomb because
Because
that's
when it
the
lands, it explodes.
impact. Whoa, that is a word that you don't say, Yeah. So I can spell it Fuck, right? But
Okay,
I don't
okay.
think I can say it. Right.
I understand.
Right. Okay.
He
Yeah.
understands.
Yeah, I
Right.
understand. That the first words that we learn when.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. And you had another story?
Oh, yeah. Okay. This one, not everybody can do. This is not something that everyone can do. But I had a student one time from Russia who, and we did classes over Skype back when Skype
Okay.
was a thing. So I
Over
guess
So
over
did
still
I.
what?
is a
So did
thing.
I. I did
But we
that
used
Over.
to,
too. Yeah.
yeah, we used to teach over Skype before we had Zoom and things like that.
Right.
Well, she met a man from Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't speak Russian and she didn't speak Swedish, but she knew a little English, and they started to correspond and to talk over Skype. Um,
Okay.
and she didn't speak very much English then, but she really liked this man, and they started a relationship long distance. And so they would have these
Okay.
long Skype conversations, and she would have like the translator up. So every
Mm-hmm.
time she needed to say something, she would translate, and she learned
Right.
English
Right.
that way. And they got
Really?
married.
Wow. Oh, okay. And neither one had English as a native language.
Well, in Sweden, English is like, everyone speaks English. They learn it in school.
Oh,
So
okay.
he
Okay.
was fluent in English, but she was not. She was a beginner when they
Okay.
first
But she
started
had,
the relationship.
she probably had lessons in English in school, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but she
Uh-huh.
insisted to me that she really learned English through those Skype conversations with him.
Yeah, because that was real world conversation.
And she had a lot of motivation because she liked this guy.
And she had the motivation. Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. So I have to say there's been a real shift in my teaching style
Mhm.
because in the last 10 years in particular, I think I used to be very grammar oriented and sort of approaching language learning as like an intellectual exercise where
Right,
you have to learn the concepts and you have to
right.
learn how to and now I'm really shifting away from that because
Mhm.
well, first of all, one way to look at it is like this. Babies learn language
Mhm.
and they don't understand the first thing about grammar. They don't have any of this intellectual framework to be able to analyze sentences and stuff like that, right? That's
Mhm.
is not there. And they just listen and repeat,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they experiment too.
Yeah.
And that's very, very important because they have to make mistakes and they learn from their mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing you can look at it, you can look at it, the history of human beings. You can say, uh, many thousands and thousands of years ago, we weren't as intellectual apparently as we are today. And but people were learning other languages.
Mhm.
If you look at the Native Americans here in North America and Central America, and they often had people. Each tribe often had people in the tribe who could speak another language. So there was language learning, and they had people who worked as translators to translate between one tribe and another. So there was language learning going on then, and some of it was obviously intellectual, but a lot of it wasn't. And the thing is, I believe that if you have someone who's really not very intellectual, and you put them in an environment where they are exposed to a language that they've never have experienced before, if they stay there for years, they're going to start to pick things up naturally. Okay. And that's a kind of natural, non-intellectual way of learning a language. Okay.
Mhm.
And so, bringing my stress in the past, I think, was about like correcting everything possible, all the errors, eliminating all the errors,
Mhm.
because if you eliminate all the errors and what they're saying, then there's no chance of miscommunication. But now I'm changing that. Yeah, I'm not throwing away completely, but for me, I'm much more interested and more focused now on developing the psychological aspect of learning a language, and that is getting people to lose their fear of
Mhm.
speaking in another language, making them feel comfortable speaking in another language,
Yeah.
motivating them, find out what they're really, really interested in. And it could be Limp Bizkit, or it could be Linkin Park, or I don't know, it could be hip hop, or
Mhm.
house music, or
You,
whatever.
mhm.
With
Yeah.
lyrics, of course. You have to have lyrics to it, but or rap even, although that's a very specific subset of the English language. But find out what motivates them, because as soon as you have motivation, then it's just so much easier. And I find that once you get the confidence and the interest developed, then everything else falls into place.
Mhm.
Eventually, the grammar starts to fix itself.
Mhm.
The fluency just starts to develop.
Mhm.
And the other thing is you have to learn a language in a safe environment, an
Yes,
environment
definitely.
where the errors don't cause serious problems for
Mhm.
yourself.
That's true.
It is really important. And I was going to say this earlier, and that is, a lot of people don't learn a language because they don't really have a need,
Mhm.
serious need for it. Now,
Mhm.
like, I went to Japan, right? And I couldn't speak the language. But as soon as I arrived there, I had serious needs. First thing I had to do is I had to rent an apartment, find an apartment to rent. I had to learn how to go to the supermarket, and I had to at least learn the names of the foods that I wanted to buy. And I also, an essential skill, I had to learn how to count and understand how much money I had to pay and things like that. As long as I had those needs, those were things that I had to learn. And that's the thing is, that's why, what is it? Language exchange, or when you go to live in a foreign country, and you have to learn the local language to survive. You're going to learn it because it's so important to you. You have a great need for your own well-being, and that's a great motivator. You know, so and the problem is a lot of people learning a language. They're like Carlo. You don't have to worry about learning English because if you don't know English, you're not going to be able to eat lunch.
Mhm.
But that kind of thing actually happened to me sometimes in Japan.
Sometimes, yes.
I had to at least understand the vocabulary because if I
Yes.
couldn't say the words, then I couldn't get anything. Right?
Yeah, right.
So we don't have that really strong need, and that really pushes people sometimes to really really learn. And if you can't speak the language and it makes you hungry or it makes you poor, uh, that's going to force you to really be serious about learning a language. Okay. Now that can also cause serious problems. I mean, because if you don't learn the words and you don't know how to talk about the food or the money, then you can't buy things. You can't order food, but most people, not everybody, some people are going to give up. It's too difficult. They're going to hide in their house or something like that. They're not going to go out and try, or they're just going to leave the country, right? But if you stay and you make the effort, then yeah, you're going to learn. So now I can't do that with my students. I can't starve my students or make them go hungry or something like that. But it does help. It helps a lot, I think. Yeah. I mean, you've been in that. Have you ever been in a place where you couldn't speak the local language, Nanda?
That's a good question. Yeah, I guess I have, because most of my travel has been to Spanish-speaking countries, and that is
Right.
the one language that I have studied and that I can communicate in. I took a short trip to France once with my father,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, I don't speak French, so it was a little, there were some moments where I didn't know how to ask for something. But the problem for English speakers is that wherever we go, there's people who speak English.
Yeah. You have to
Almost.
be set down in the middle of Siberia or in the middle of the Amazon,
Yeah,
and
sometimes
that's where.
small towns, you.
Right. Yeah.
But I've definitely been in situations in Spanish-speaking places where I didn't have the vocabulary that I needed, and
Right.
I had to
Yeah.
extend my ability
Yeah.
a
Because
little bit.
the Spanish spoken in Spain is often very, very different than the Spanish spoken over here.
Yeah, it took a little bit of getting used to, and
Yeah, new words, new ways of saying things. You know,
yeah,
Expressions, local expressions.
they right.
yeah,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah,
The
definitely.
Accents make
yes.
it difficult to understand sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
And sometimes they have an accent very difficult. It's
Oh
inclusive
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
for inclusive for Spanish people.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Spanish. Yes.
Because you always have that thing. It doesn't matter anywhere in the world. There's always the way of speaking of the people in the cities and the way of speaking of the
Mhm.
people in the countryside.
yeah,
Farmers don't speak the same way as people in the city.
Yes.
And you always have that difference. So yeah. Uh-huh. Were you in the countryside in Spain, Nanda?
It was a small city, um, so it wasn't
Mhm.
the country, but also not one of the larger urban areas. And actually,
Mhm.
not a lot of people in that city spoke English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
met a lot of people who, maybe they've taken some classes but didn't really use English. So it was good for me as an English teacher. I had a lot of business, but
Uh-huh.
it was also good for my language learning because it wasn't like people would just automatically switch the way they do a lot of places. So I definitely used Spanish more in Spain than I did in Costa Rica, which was good. It was really good for me. And your point about food is really funny because I had to go shopping and buy groceries to cook for my family, and they have a lot of like fruit and vegetable markets where you have to interact with the people
Yes.
more. You can't just like grab what you want. You have to like say what you want. And
Yeah.
a lot of the words for like fruits and vegetables are different in Spain. And I remember
Right.
I really wanted to get some sweet potatoes because I like to cook with sweet potatoes, especially for my children. They were much small then. And
Right.
in the word I knew for sweet potato is camote, because that's what I learned in Central America and Mexico. Also, they say camote, but nobody knew what that was. So I'd ask for that. I go, what is that? And so it took me a while. And then I had to look it up. And it's in Spain, they call it boniato. Boniato, I'm like, oh my God, what is that? And so it was like, but then once I started asking for it, they would say, oh yeah, sí, sí, yeah, tenemos, and then they bring it out. And I was like, oh, I got something done with the language. I'm so happy.
Yeah. I just put sweet potatoes into a translator here, and it gave me something completely different. It gives me batatas.
Batatas, yeah,
Batatas.
also. Yeah, also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the
Batatas is
place.
very common.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's different words, especially for foods that originate in the Americas and then like moved. There's a lot of words for them. So yeah, just things to learn. And then like situational things, like having to go to the doctor. It's not necessarily like what to say or how to describe that thing. And so it just being in those situations, it extends your ability more because you have to learn.
Yeah.
Good experience travel. But when you're within your country, you have to sort of create those situations for yourself, and imagine a little bit, because like John is saying, like you don't have the urgent need in the moment, but you have to sort of put yourself in that space.
Okay, Nanda, we're coming up to 11 o'clock, but there's one question I always like to ask a teacher, and I'd like to hear your answer to it. What has been, or who has been the most difficult student for you to teach?
I wasn't expecting that question. So the most difficult student to teach. Oh, I'm going to have to think about that for a minute because I've had a lot of students over the years. I wouldn't say a specific, I can't call out a particular one, but I can tell you a particular type of student.
Okay.
And that type of student is the type of student who really was forced to learn the language by circumstances that were out of their control. And especially when there's like an obstacle put in front of them or like some kind of power situation where they feel powerless. Like they feel powerless, like I have to study English because my father will not pay for my college if I don't study English. Or I cannot, it's like something that's completely external, the motivation.
Yeah.
And that situation blocks people. It's like,
Yes,
why would you learn the language when it's just your father won't give you the money for your car if you don't study? Like that's not going to make somebody want to learn.
Yeah.
So that's the worst. It's the worst. They'll just try to find ways around learning.
Right. I one particular student is in the same category. That one student I remember from a long time ago it had something like that, an obstacle, a bad experience actually, that made her despise speaking English.
Yeah. It's hard to get over that emotion.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So you have to feel positive about what you're doing.
Yeah. One of my hardest students to teach, well, there's a couple that I could pick, but One that comes to mind is a student that I was teaching online who was from Puerto Rico and living in the United States. The 99% of my students are from Costa Rica. My online students are from Costa Rica, but I actually occasionally pick up someone from some other place. But this was a person who maybe had a grade 8 level of education, had a really thick Puerto Rican accent, and who was rebellious too. Because I remember one thing is I wanted to teach her how to say numbers in English, right? And I was trying to teach her, like, to say a number like 15,372, right? And she just said to me, "Well, I have my way to say that, and that's the only way I want to say it. I say $13752." And I said, "But if you say that, possible people aren't going to understand you very well." And she said, "No, that's my way of saying. I'm going to say it that way. I don't want to learn your way." Okay, so like, oh my goodness, what could I do with that? Yeah, they're just saying she was going to be, she was going to learn, she was going to say things her way, even if they weren't right. But, yeah, and actually, that one didn't. She didn't say it the right way. But and also she had a situation where I think she'd been living in the United States already for a few years, and she was sort of accustomed to the way things were with her limited English, and it was surprising because she was in the United States, but there was really a lack of motivation. There was a little bit of motivation there, but there was also resistance against it,
Yeah.
and yeah. We did make some progress, but in the end, she decided that it wasn't worth it. Yeah. And she stopped taking classes. So, okay. Well, let's see. Okay. It's 11 o'clock now, and I think we should wrap things up here. But thank you, Carlo. You were the only one who could stay of all the three panelists. One had a medical emergency, the other had
thank you so much.
problems. So I'm glad that you stayed here. Yeah, and thank you very much, Nanda. It's really been interesting talking to you and getting in touch with you and seeing you again. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed being on the show today.
Yeah, I really enjoyed meeting you, Carlo. Honestly, it brings back such great memories of Costa Rica, and I wish you the best on your language learning journey. I hope you enjoy it and that you have lots of good opportunities to speak English.
Of course,
Sure.
of course. Thank you so much, and nice to meet you.
All right. Okay. Hopefully I'll make it back to Costa Rica sometime. Come and see you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we'll have to keep in touch. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Okay. Great. That is it for this week. I should check. I had not checked the message board here. No, we didn't get any questions today, so there's nothing to ask you from the audience. So, okay, good, great. Thank you very much, everybody. That is it for today. And let me see for anybody who's listening to this. Yep, next Saturday we'll be having a show, so we hope to see you next week as well. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much.
Okay.